Now here's an interesting little bit of trivia. The first ever video I ever did for YouTube as a review was actually an electric car, and that was 8 years ago. Now obviously I have evolved since, albeit not in the right direction, but what has evolved in the right direction are electric vehicles. Now back then we had just one to choose from, the Mahindra E20, and now we have a plethora of them to choose from in a whole different bunch of price point. This being the latest entrant to India, the brand new Tigor EV. Now, we've seen the Tigor before, haven't been in standard avatar, but this video is very simple. I know what you want to ask. Can I live with this? And that's exactly the question that I intend to answer in today's review. Let's take a quick moment to mark out the differences between the standard car and this EV version though. It gets a new front bumper and grille and some blue accents typical of an electric car. Pretty much everything else on the outside is the same, and on the inside too the changes aren't huge. A new instrument cluster, new seat upholstery, and those same blue accents here too. So overall, not much has changed. But when you need to live with a car like this, it has to be completely uncompromising, and sadly one of the parts where it does have a bit of compromise is the boot space. Let me explain. The battery pack actually takes up the space that the spare wheel used to be in, and there are two battery packs here. This is the smaller one. The larger one is underneath the rear passenger seat where the fuel tank used to be. Spare wheel incidentally has moved here to the side, which means it does eat up some of the luggage space in the boot. There's no way you're going to fit one of those big bulky bags that we love traveling around with, but small overnighters or cabin baggage, there's more than enough space for those, and you still have space to play around with. Alright then, now that we're behind the wheel, let's get a couple of facts straight out the way. This sadly isn't the same power or the same motor setup that you get in the Nexon EV. It is less powerful. So this is just 75 horsepower and 170 Newton meters of torque, which is more than enough for a car of this size. And I could now pull off lines like the torque comes in at 0 RPM and it feels linear and smooth in traffic, and it all does because it's an EV. It's supposed to do all of those things, right? What it does surprise me with is how smooth and how quiet and how nice this car suddenly has become. Just like how the Nexon EV is the best Nexon that Tata makes, the Tigor EV honestly is the best Tigor that Tata makes. It's the best of the lot for sure. In fact, this could very well be one of the nicest city cars that you can actually go out and buy. Price notwithstanding, of course. So the Tigor EV offers you two driving modes. One's the D or the standard mode, and the obvious other one is the S or the sport mode. Now, let's talk about the differences between the two, because there are some big differences in the way these two make the car drive. D mode obviously is the more gentle mode, it's the more subtle mode, the grandfather mode, if you like to call it that. It accelerates more gently, it's more peaceful, it's more sort of, well, just taking its time, getting there. And I bet you get a lot better range if you drive it in D all the time. But stick it in sport, and that's where all the fun is. Now, look, this isn't a fast or fun car, but it is electric, and you do have all that cliched line talk that I talked about earlier. So why not have some fun? Why not make the most out of it? And S mode really does that. It accelerates a lot faster because you can get all that motor range that it provides to play with. Yes, it's a little bit less on regeneration. The D mode actually offers 50% more regeneration. Well, at least according to the meter here. But overall, just putting an electric motor into this car has made it a much nicer car to drive by a margin. Right, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which of course is range, and that's what every future EV driver wants to know. Now, the official ARAI range on this is a little over 300 kilometers, and frankly, you're never going to actually get that unless you are hypermiling with the mirrors turned in and the AC off and the 50 psi in your tires, but that's not how normal people drive. What I'd estimate is a range of maybe the late hundreds or close to 200 kilometers to drive in the normal D mode, and obviously in sport you're going to get a lot less. But let me do this. In the near future, let's bring you a video of an actual real world test where we take this from 100% charge to an absolute dead zero, and let's see how much we actually get. That said, from a normal day-to-day perspective, there is enough range for most people's commutes. And if at all you do fall short, charging infra is growing at a really quick pace, especially in major metros, and using apps like the Tata Power Easy Charge, you can plan your journey in a way where you can account for every small stop and maybe some ice cream. Summing this car up is very easy. It's electric, literally and figuratively, but for all the good it does, here is my curveball. Tata should have continued offering the Tigor as a commercial vehicle EV only and not in this fully loaded private vehicle format. Instead, the Tiago, which is about $1 lakh cheaper, would have been a much better choice only because the hatchback market is gigantic as compared to the compact sedan, and hatchbacks are cooler. Credit where it is due though, this is a really great city car for someone who just wants to go from point A to point B, wants something small and doesn't mind the range.